What's up, folks? David Soto Jr. here, and this is the David Soto Jr. podcast. What's up, folks? Welcome to the David Soto Jr. podcast. I'm your host, David Soto Jr. This is episode number 7, coming to you from Colorado Springs. And today's episode is kind of a how's my week been going type of episode. Like if somebody asks me what's going on, I want to send them to this podcast, and I want to say, like, just listen to the goddamn podcast, because I'm tired of typing this out via text messages or on Twitter or on Instagram, making little stories on Instagram. This is the whole story. This is my whole shitty week and the lesson I'm trying to learn from it. All right? The lesson I'm trying to learn from it. So this is what I had. When I was working a few months ago, I had so much money to spend, it was ridiculous. I couldn't spend enough money. And I still managed to save half of every paycheck at least half, right? One of the things I bought, I bought some new shoes. I bought remote start for the van and bought some pants. Bought a bunch of stuff for work to prepare me for staying in Colorado for the winter. I bought, you can't see it, but I bought a wool blanket and a down blanket. And I don't know. I just had plenty of money, and I could finally get stuff that I needed and wanted for the van. And a lot of it was unnecessary. If I had just driven down to Arizona like I usually do every winter, I wouldn't have needed any of that stuff. One of the things that I bought was kind of an indulgence, was a ticket to what's called the Smarter Artist Summit in Austin, Texas. And I was going to, it was not cheap. The early bird price was $500. I got in there in time. I had to buy it in November. All right. I bought this basically ticket to this conference for writers, independent authors, hosted by fellow podcasters, formerly of the Self-Publishing Podcast. Now it is Smarter Artist Podcast, or SSP, SPP, SSP. Anyways, so these fools, David Wright, Sean, what the fuck's Sean's name? Johnny B. Truant, Sean something. Anyways, these fuckers had a podcast, and then they started this little conference, and I signed up for it. This is the third year. I missed every year because I didn't have money. Well, now I had plenty of money, so I bought my ticket. I was going to fly into Austin and stay there at the hotel. The hotel was crazy expensive. But like I said, I had plenty of goddamn money. And I already told my boss, like, I'm going to be gone during these days in February. Well, as we all know, most recent highlight of my life was getting laid off. I quit that job. I didn't know they were going to be dicks about it and like escort me off the property and all that. But I quit that job. I tried to use it as a leveraging tool. It didn't work. I didn't want to work there anymore. I fucking hated it, to tell you the truth. But I wasn't anticipating my threat to not work. Because, anyways, I don't want to talk about that, but just some bullshit. I don't work there anymore, and it's probably for the best. I'm sure it's for the best, because I was fucking hating life. Anyways. So now I don't make a bunch of fucking money, and now I'm kind of living on my savings. So my thoughts were, I may not even go to this fucking thing in Austin. I just, I've heard of people selling their tickets, and I thought maybe I should sell my tickets. But I'm like, man, I gotta interact with other authors, with other people, and I gotta share my story. And I got to meet other people, see how they're doing it. They're going to have guest speakers and blah, 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 and all that bullshit. But the thing you really benefit from going to these things is your networking and your meeting of people. So I convinced myself to go, especially because I found a rock climbing gym within 8 minutes of the facility. Venue, rather, is a better word. So I'm like, okay, I'll drive. It's going to cost me more money in gas than it would to actually drive there or fly there, but I can't afford that fancy ass Renaissance hotel. So I'll just figure out a way to sleep in my van, and that's where the rock climbing gym came in, because they're usually really tolerant of people, van life people, right? So I decided to go. And I've gone through a lot here lately with my van. Especially the fuel pump. The fuel pump was the most expensive thing that's happened in the past since January. Like since 2018, a lot of shit has gone on with this fucking van. The heater not working or not working intermittently. Service engine light coming on intermittently. And then 2 mornings, two separate times, the van wouldn't start. And that affected the heat. Obviously, the van needs to run in order to have heat. One of those times, it's not that it wouldn't start, it's that it wouldn't stay started. I don't know. It was an alternator, and I was able to change that out myself. Not a big deal. I had to do some research and some troubleshooting. I got the heat working and working fine. Then the fuel pump went out on me. That wasn't something I could fix. I had to have the car towed, or the van towed. Had to stay in a hotel overnight. But it got fixed. And I'm finally thinking everything's done. The service engine light came on again. An master airflow switch. I changed that out myself. And then I have no problems. I'm cool. I think I spent a lot of money. I went through a lot of troubleshooting, a lot of time, but everything's working. I should be all right for my journey to Austin, Texas. I come down to Colorado Springs, stay with my buddy, and for a couple days, and this gives me a jump start on my drive down. While I'm here, I plan my trip. I'm going to go to this lake. Looks like I can get some fishing in. How much is a Texas fishing license? I should probably get an annual license. If I fish for more, I'm thinking that I need to put my long underwear away. I'm thinking I'm putting my galoshes away, my boots, because when I come back, it's going to be spring. I'm going to hang out in Austin, Texas long enough. I even saw some pictures of people fishing in the rivers around there. And I was like, man, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to fish. I'm going to be wearing sandals. I'm going to be chilling. And then after my conference, I'm going to hang out. I know some people in Texas. I know some people in San Antonio. I know some people in Austin. I know some people in Highline or Kill, whatever. Whatever their army fucking base is. Fort Bliss? Fort. Anyways, whatever one where they kill all the people. Where there's always killings. That one. That's the one. I know some people. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go down to Texas. And I've heard a lot about Austin. And it sounds like my kind of town. I'm going to enjoy it. Everybody's like, yeah, you're going to like how, there's weird people there too. You're going to like it. I'm like, okay, cool. So, one morning, I'm here in Colorado Springs. I go to this coffee shop that I really like. I go there, I do some writing, do some work, do some tweeting, because I'm Twitter. And I get in my van, and a fucking check engine light comes on. And I am like, this sucks. This sucks completely. It never stops. So right away, I go straight to closest place was an AutoZone. I go to AutoZone, they plug it in. They're like, oh, your master airflow switch is bad. I'm like, the fuck it is, dude. I just replaced it. He's like, I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. So I'm like, okay, All right, thanks. Well, since I bought the airflow switch at Advanced Auto, not at Auto Zone, I was gonna go there the next day, which is the day that I was leaving. Like, I'm going to Texas tomorrow. And if it's a master airflow switch, I'm gonna go to Advanced Auto where I bought this goddamn thing, and I'm going to swap it out in the parking lot, get in my van, and I'm driving to Texas. Well, that's not exactly what happens. I go to Advanced Auto, and here's the thing: they're sales clerks. I don't know what kind of mechanicking experience they have, um, but this young lady comes out and she checks my computer, and she really doesn't know what to tell me. She's like, oh, I don't. It says this is maybe it's a fuel filter. I'm like, negative. It can't be a fuel filter. Oh, I just realized something. Can't be a fuel filter, or well, fuel filter would be easier. Maybe it's your fuel pump. I go, can't be a fuel pump. Just been replaced last month. She's like, oh well, I don't know. And I'm thinking, here's where I'm wrong. I'm completely wrong. I'm thinking, you're fucking useless. You're doing me no good. Which at the time she was not doing me any help, doing me much help. But I knew that I was close to a mechanic that I've gone to a few times, and so I thought, all right, I'm gonna drive there and see what these fuckers say, because these are mechanics, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and admit that when I saw a girl come out to help me read I didn't. Yeah, are girls capable of being mechanics? Yes, but at AutoZone, I don't. It's very rare that a woman picks that type of trade, and so if she does, she will. Let's just say I think a woman would excel at being a mechanic. If a woman chooses to be a mechanic, I'm going to say that she's probably going to be good, and good enough to not have to work at fucking AutoZone or Advanced Auto. You know what I'm saying? If a woman were to choose, I think that if a woman were to choose to be a mechanic, she'd be a fucking good one. And therefore not have to work at a parts house. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so I was being kind of chauvinistic. I'm like, man, I got to take it to these experts over here. Granted, if a boy or a man had told me the same thing she said, I'd have thought, you're no help. She was no help to me at that time, and it doesn't matter if it was a guy or a girl. They were no help to me. So I went to the mechanic that I usually go to. He's like, well, we're not gonna be able to get you in. I can take a look real quick and run the computer. I'm like, please do that. That's why I'm here. He goes in, comes back. He goes out, checks it, comes back in, and says, yeah, it's just a O2 sensor. I'm like, really? Because I've got mass airflow sensor. Switch, I call it switch. Mass airflow sensor. I've gotten that. I got I don't know, maybe the fuel pump. And now you're telling me O2. He goes, yeah, O2 sensor. I already reset it. Shouldn't be any issue. Go ahead and drive to Texas. You'll be all right. Come back, get it fixed, set up an appointment. We'll get his O2 sensors replaced. I'm thinking, well, shit, that's good news. All right. So I get in my van and I drive to fucking Texas. Let me see, about 6 hours later, maybe more, 6, 7, or 8 hours later, I get to this small town, Sanford. It doesn't even qualify. I shouldn't even call it a town. Sanford, Texas, because I'm going to this lake. It's a federal lake, Lake Meredith. It's a federal property. And there's a picnic area and campground, and there's supposed to be no charge for camping there. And I'm thinking, here I am, thinking again, I'm going to do some fishing. I'm going to fish at this lake. And I thought, well, I'm going to see about getting my fishing license, and then I'll get some gas. Ooh, I'm running low. Maybe I should get some gas while I'm here. So when I pull up, first of all, I'm looking like, there's nothing out here. Like, I'm scared. I'm on a 2-lane Texas highway, a road, And I'm looking around like, man, there's nothing around here. Maybe I shouldn't even. I'm thinking, maybe I shouldn't even stay here. Maybe we should get the hell out of here. Like this lake. It didn't even look. It wasn't nice. I'm thinking trees and lake and no. This was like, I don't even know if this was a real lake or maybe it's because I was up by the dam, but it didn't look nice. And then I get to this town, Sanford, and there's nothing there. Not a gas station, not a convenience store, not a bank, not a McDonald's, not a Walmart, God forbid. Not God forbid. That would be too big. If you had a Walmart, you know you're in a good spot. You know you're in a nice place. You get a Walmart there. This didn't have a Walmart. That's when I start looking. I'm like, how close am I to Amarillo? Or how close am I to Abilene, where there's an Air Force base? Like, get me the hell out of here. So I stop and make a video on Instagram. And I'm, trying to be comedic. I'm like, I'm scared. There's nothing out here. What the hell am I doing here? I'm getting the hell out of here. I make my video. I post it. Start my van up and drive. Then I see a sign that says Lake Meredith Recreation Area. And so I go, let me go check it out. How far am I? So I turn in there. I'm giving it gas. And it's not responding to the gas pedal. And I'm like, what the and I'm looking down. I'm like, what's going on? And then I see my lights come back on because the engine died. So I have enough momentum that I pull it over the side of the road. I'm like, what the shit? And I throw it in park and I try and start it and it doesn't start. Save us some time here. Again, I call it tow truck. Now, first of all, you're thinking this guy at the mechanic shop told me to go ahead, it'd be okay to go, and he reset. Was he wrong? Because he went up to the mechanic. He's the guy that sits at the computer. He's hooked up to my van before. Took the computer up to my van, and he's looked at that. But right away, I'm thinking, this motherfucker, this is exactly what I wanted to avoid. Getting stranded in the middle of fucking nowhere. This is exactly what I wanted to avoid. And this fucker's like, oh, no, O2 sensors, you'll be alright. Just get it changed as soon as you can. So I don't know what it is. Car won't start. Next thing I know, I'm in a tow truck. And they send me to a place, Burger, Texas. And they say, we're going to send you to a place called Cabby's. I'm like, okay. Cabby's, and I write that down. And so while I'm trying to make accommodations, I'm looking for, where's Cabby's? And I'm looking, and I'm like, I Google Cabby's, don't see anything on Google. And I don't know what I'm going to, and so I'm trying to find a hotel. I find one's close. Finally, I do see a place, but it's under the yellow pages. Cabby's there's no website for this. There's no Yelp. There's nothing for Cabby's auto repair. So I look. This is all the same day that I leave, right? Check engine light comes on a Tuesday. I leave on a Wednesday. It's still Wednesday. I find a hotel. It's kind of close. All right, my tow truck driver, he doesn't have very good directions. He calls me. He finds me. He takes me to Cabby's in Berger. And I go to Berger, and we pull up. I go, this looks like a residential area. He goes, it sure does. And the address for Cabby's is somebody's fucking house. So I got to call my on-site assistance bullshit. Anyways, I'm like, where are you headed? He goes, well, we're back in Amarillo. I'm sure there's a better place to get a hotel room, a better shop, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, let's go to Amarillo. I'll pay the fucking difference because the roadside assistance only covers a little bit. So as we go to Amarillo, I see flags that say it has an AR-15 on it, and it says, come and get them. And I'm like, ooh, this is not cool. And then my tow truck driver turns out to be a veteran, and we start talking. And he starts talking about, yeah, I don't like how the country is. And I'm like, oh, the current state of the country is just, I don't know. And I'm like, oh, does this dude don't like Donald Trump? And then he says, I thought Donald Trump was going to fix everything, but I don't know. And I'm like, oh, this motherfucker likes Donald. This is a pro Donald Trump guy right here. And so he was not afraid to voice his opinion about what he thought about the current situation of the country and the status of the country. He did not care. And I found myself not being able to carry a conversation with him anymore. I couldn't respond. I didn't want to like piss this guy off and say, well, it's kind of, I was just, I just didn't want to make a bad situation or make the situation bad. We were having a conversation. I was trying to steer the conversation away from, uh, away from immigrants coming in and the government giving them money to start businesses. We don't even take care of ourselves. I was trying to steer away from that, But it got kind of uncomfortable there for quite a bit of that drive. But the guy was nice and he was polite. And he said, you want to drop you off at a hotel before, and then I'll take this on to the shop? I'm like, oh, well, actually, that's a good question. He goes, well, we got a Baymont Inn, and I take all my customers there, and they give you a good price. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, it's $45 a night. And I'm like, oh, well, that sounds not too bad at all. I know what a Baymont Inn is. I think I might have stayed at a Baymont Inn. So this, I was going to say fool. I'm just getting in the habit of saying fool because I listen to Felipe Esparza. But this fool drops me off, makes sure, he's very polite, he's very helpful, political views aside. He goes in there and she says, hey, man, you want to make sure my man gets the good rate? And she's like, okay, sure, no problem. I shake his hand. I'm grateful because this guy hooked me up with a cheap hotel. He's going to take my van, and they're going to get started on it in the morning. Should be done, by the end of the day. It's still Wednesday. The next morning, I'm in the hotel room, and I went across the street to the Mexican restaurant, ate a taco, and drank a beer, and then I stayed the night. I wake up the next morning, and I'm like, yeah, they're going to call me first thing. So it's 7:30. I'm like, yeah, I don't expect them. 8 o'clock comes around, nothing. 9-ish. I'm watching Kelly Ripa and Ryan Seacrest. Man, she's skinny. She's so skinny. And then watching The View, and then Megan, what's it? The senator's wife, senator's daughter, McCain. Boy, I tell you what, that was an interesting. And I'm thinking like, I can't. This is enough morning TV. I got to get out of here. So around 11:30, still no phone call. I start making some calls. Nobody's answering their phones. Nobody is answering their phones. Tow truck driver, who I had his number because he called me, not answering his phone. Tow truck company, not answering their phone. And they're both, the tow truck company seems to be a cell phone. Excuse me, I belched and I'm broadcasting podcast. So I don't know what to do. And I call USAA, which has my roadside assistance, and they're like, or maybe they just happen to call me and like, what's going on? How did you like your service? I'm like, I don't even know where my van is. So here's the thing. I don't know where my van is. And the worst case scenario is going through my head. This dude dropped me off at a hotel and took off of my van and my keys. And I shook his hand. Like, go ahead, steal my van. Thank you very much. Let me shake your hand. Right before you steal it. And I'm thinking it's getting stripped and they're taking everything out of it. I have no idea where they are. I do have an address that I gave the USAA people. They give it to me back. I look for it, see where it is. And I'm thinking, if I got to go in there and I was going to say something, but if I got to go in there and kick some ass and get my van back, maybe I should do that. But eventually, somebody calls me back. There's the tow truck driver. He's like, yeah, we worked on it all night. That's why we didn't answer. You know, he didn't say that, but he was sleeping. That's why he didn't answer his phone, because he worked on it all night. He goes, yeah, it's a fuel pump. We're going to get it put in for you. It'll be a couple hours or something. Well, I'm sure it'll be ready today. I'm like, okay. So I sit there in a hotel lobby. A couple hours pass. And a couple more hours pass. Eventually 6 hours pass. And I think, I should just get a hotel room, because I'm not going to drive anywhere tonight. I think it was around 6 p.m. I got another hotel room and went up to my room and laid down and watched TV and didn't hear a thing until 7:30. 7:30, I finally get a phone call, and I'm thinking, it's Thursday now. And I'm thinking, well, thank God, tomorrow morning I can get my goddamn van and get out of here. I'm stuck in this hotel. I have my stuff with me. I have too much stuff to actually carry, so I can't like go for a walk and go somewhere. So he was like, well, you better get a hotel. We couldn't find what's going on. We changed out the fuel pump, and that didn't do it. I'm like, what the fuck? First of all, the fuel pump has already been replaced, right? But luckily, I'm smart enough to know that I left out a phone call, but the owner of the company was working on it, and he broke it down of how he troubleshot it, and it made sense to me. He goes, they go out all the time. Sometimes you get them brand new, and they're, before you even put them in, you can tell that they're not working. They arrive brand new from the parts house, not working. He goes, it's not uncommon. I'm like, well, fuck, that was the most expensive thing that I've had to do to this van, and now I got to do it again. But they put a fuel pump in, and they could not get the engine started. He goes, I don't know what to say to you, but you might as well stay. I already got a room, so I'm good. He goes, I'll get a hold of you first chance I get, as soon as I figure something out. Friday morning, I wake up, don't hear from anybody, don't bother to call. I go, I know something is going to happen sooner or later. I have to check out of the room because it's time. It's almost noon. I go down to the lobby. I'm like, they're going to... Now, but I feel sick. I feel like out of control. Like something is in my life is somebody's doing something. Somebody has control. I have no control. My house, somebody took it away from me. I can't drive anywhere. I can't go anywhere. I can't record a podcast. I can't. And I had no control of it. Usually I think, hey, take action, fucker, do something about it. But there was nothing I could do. And that's not a good feeling. I don't like that. If I'm going to have a shitty day, if I'm going to pout, and I'm going to not be able, it's going to be I want it to be my fault. I don't want to not have control. I want to be able to, suck it up and drive on. And I can't. I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting. I can't take it anymore, and after a couple hours on the computer in the lobby, I decide, just let me get a goddamn room again. It's already maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I've been in the lobby for a couple hours, and I just don't want to, I want to have a room. I want to drop my shit off. I want to go for a walk. I've been sitting, either laying in a hotel bed or sitting in the hotel lobby for 2 days now, more or less. I get a room, I take a walk, find a Mexican restaurant, eat some tamales. No, I didn't even do that. I'm updating Instagram, telling people what's going on. I haven't really been in an Instagram posting mood. So now it's Friday, right? I make a couple posts on Instagram. I'm trying to be as positive as I can. And I don't want to be all sad bastard on Instagram. So I make a few posts, and then the phone rings, and it's him, and he says, "We got it." I'm like, "What is it?" He says, "Bad wire." And I believe it. Again, me knowing what I know about troubleshooting and electrical and everything else. When he described what he did and what he found, it made complete sense. Also, if I'm losing voltage because I got bad wires that are shorting to the ground because insulation is wore off, I may not be getting the proper voltage to my fuel pump. If I'm getting too low a voltage to my fuel pump, that will cause it to run hot and would cause it to die prematurely. Granted, it should have lasted me, another 100,000 miles, but if electrically it was getting too low a voltage, that will cause a motor, in this case a pump, to go bad. So everything made sense, and I was relieved. And I said, "I'm going to be at this Mexican joint. You come pick me up here?" He's like, "Yeah." He came pick me up. I went and paid the bill, and I was relieved that it wasn't $3,000. It was $1,400. I happily paid that because amount of hours that they spent looking for this, God knows. They changed out my fuel pump for considerably cheaper than what the guys did in Golden, Colorado. So I got in my van. I'm happy. I already got a hotel room, so I'm just going to chill. But first thing in the morning, I'm out. And that's what happened. Now, here we are. Saturday morning. Remember, I started this on Wednesday. Right? Tuesday is when the light came on. Oh, by the way, fuel pump. That's what that girl said. She was right. What the girl said at Advanced Auto. She was right. She sounded like she was guessing, but who gives a fuck? She was right. It was a fuel pump, not getting enough fuel. So I'm driving along Saturday morning, and I think I'm going to take the shortest route possible, even though I know it's through like a 2-lane highway in the middle of nowhere for several hours. I just want to get the fuck back to Colorado. Oh, by the way, my thing starts today. And here I am in Colorado. I did not want... Oh, I forgot. This is super long, man. I didn't know it was going to take this long. The owner, when he's talking to me, he says, "When's the last time your ball joints are bad?" I'm like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah. Like, if you hit a pothole bad, these things are going to slip out and you're going to lose a tire." I'm like, "Are you serious?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "They look like they're original." And they probably are. And he says, "Yeah, I'd get them changed out as soon as you could." So now I'm like, great. Like, do I want to drive further away from Colorado and have a ball joint slip out and there you go, crashing into the fucking road, die? And right then and there, when he said that, I knew I'm not going to Austin. I described it as the wind was taken out of my sails. I had no motivation to go to Austin and I just wanted to be back somewhere where I was comfortable. Somewhere where if I broke down, I have at least one friend who can come and get me, who can give me a place to stay. And that's comforting than to be out in the middle of nowhere and risk breaking down again. Saturday morning, I'm driving, listening to the podcast. I'm like, I lean forward, And I look down, and the fucking service engine light is on. Now, here's an important part of the podcast. I lose my shit. I see that, my heart sinks, and so many things go through my head. Fucking life, this is bullshit. Like, can I get a fucking break? Nothing ever fucking has been going my way. I am fucking heartbroken. I am pissed. I am sad. I am everything. I am to the point where I fucking scream out loud. Just give a good old fucking manly scream. Twice. Inhale. Give another one. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Raton, New Mexico is like going to be like my safe haven, all right? Because that's the city that the interstate runs through. So that way I know I'll be on interstate all the way up to Colorado Springs. I'm trying not to imagine this fucking thing dying like it did just a few days ago. I'm trying not to imagine that. I'm trying to imagine pulling into my buddy's house, this house right here. But my heart feels terrible. I am just sad and I want to fucking cry. But I don't. And I just kept telling myself, suck it up and move on. And that's what I did. And a few hours later, I get to Raton and I feel a sense of relief. I got 2.5 hours to go till I pull up in this driveway, but at least I'll be on a major interstate if anything goes wrong. 2.5 hours later, I arrive here. And just collapse on my buddy's couch. He's not even here. Collapse on his couch, watch movies all day long. All night. All day, all night. Don't do nothing. Today, Sunday morning, I go to a coffee joint down here in the Springs, and I'm communicating with an old military buddy, another one. He says, well, check engine lights, usually emissions, not that big of a deal. Usually you shouldn't have. And I'm like, oh, really? I go, well, that goes back to the O2 sensor. So then I'm like looking at how to change out O2 sensors. I'm like, no, it doesn't look too bad. I could do this myself. So save me a little money. So I go to Advanced Auto and they plug it in. And the computer says cylinder number 1 misfiring. It's not anything. It wasn't going to kill the van. It wasn't going to break down on the side of the road because of misfiring. Cylinder 1 is misfiring. Not only that, right? So here I am. I'm going to get a little piece of information. I realize, oh, well, shit, that's nothing at all. I know that they took this doghouse off and they changed the distributor cap. Maybe they didn't put a wire on very tight. Maybe the wire's got a crack in insulation. I don't know. I stop at Walmart, get some groceries. I get in the van. I start the van up, and the check engine light's gone. It's not on. So this is the thing. We choose our emotions. We choose our feelings. Things happen. Circumstances happen to us. And then we choose how to react. And I kept trying to tell myself that all day yesterday on that drive. And I tried to snap myself out of it. Instead of listening to podcasts, I listened to music the whole drive. Just to kind of cheer me up. A light fucking ruined my life for, I don't know, 24 hours. Man, more or less. It was devastating. This light that came on zapped like the life out of me. My will to live. Not really, but I was pretty fucking low because of this stupid ass light. Came on. I let this light have control of my emotions, of my feelings. This check engine light. And then what happens? It turns itself off. All of that worry, the concern, everything was because of a light, which the reason it was on was because it was misfiring somehow. And if it misfires within a certain amount of time, within a certain amount of time, the check engine light comes on. It's not even, and I've had one completely go out and I can hear it. I can't even hear this one. It's just barely It was nothing. It was nothing. So yeah, I have had a run of bad luck, and I had to miss out on my trip to Austin. I had to do all this stuff. The worst part of it was when I felt like I got kicked in the ass with a check engine light in the middle of fucking Texas still. And that I had a horrible, horrible drive to Raton, New Mexico, just trying not to imagine being broken. You can see nothing. There's nothing for miles and miles and miles. And I felt horrible. The lesson here is, for me, is to not let things control my emotions. A light came on, and then 24 hours later, it went off, and I let that ruin my life. I let that push me to the point where I fucking screamed in my car, and I'm trying to make Instagram videos after that, and my voice is hoarse. It was nothing. This is officially the longest podcast I've had, and it's just me telling a story. Whew. I am getting the ball joints fixed. I got a point. I already got an estimate of a place close by to my buddy's house. I can drop it off and walk here and hang out. I'm getting the ball joints. Do I have the money to get that shit? No. But if the ball joint slips out and this tire fucking falls off and I'm driving 70 miles an hour and I roll this, that will be more devastating than the $900 estimate that I just got. I don't know what I'm going to do about money. All I know is just a few days ago, before this whole fiasco started, I was having a great fucking time in my life. And no circumstances had changed. I'm still not a bestseller. I'm still living off my savings. I'm still living in a van, which I enjoy. I'm not destitute. That's why I live in a van, because I'm broke. I own 3 houses. Give me a fucking break. I felt great. And that was, again, nothing had changed. I'm choosing to feel good. I'm like, man, I'm writing. That's really what was helpful was that I'm writing. Like, this story is just fucking going. And I'm interacting with other authors, and I just felt really, really good. And nothing had changed. No circumstances had gotten better, right? I just started feeling better. I just wanted to feel better. Now I feel completely opposite. Or I have. And it caused me to eat shit I didn't want to eat. It's kind of all because of, well, breaking down in the middle of nowhere is pretty fucking stressful. And then not hearing from your fucking mechanic or tow truck driver for, I don't know, several hours. They don't answer your phone calls. Here's my lesson. Don't worry about it. I wrote something about worrying and how I choose not to worry. But I worried my fucking ass off this week. all because of this fucking thing. The article I wrote was how I know when to worry, and the answer was never. There's no point in worrying. But I did. I did worry a lot. Anyways, folks, that is it for episode 7. This is going to be fun to upload because it's 45 minutes. This is twice as long as I've done any of the episodes. You can find me at on Twitter and Instagram at David E. Soto Jr. as in Jr. Not the whole word Jr. Jr. David E. Soto Jr. Instagram, Twitter. Website is www.davidsotorights.com. I'm an author. I write beautiful love stories. I think. Although the story I'm writing now is a lot of combat, a lot of war in it. So maybe it's kind of action adventures with love. I don't know. You check it out. Reach out to me. Let me know what's going on, and I appreciate you tuning in. Thanks.